بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وسندنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا وبعد. Last week we went over some of the points. I'll just go over it quickly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the fact that they were hypocrites from the Yahud as well. Like they were munafiqeen from the Muslims, they were munafiqeen from the Yahud as well. Who are these people? They used to sit in the gatherings of the Muslims, they would listen to what Rasulullah is teaching, and they would go, yes, our book says this as well. This is correct. What you are saying is correct. And they would confirm the message, and their heart would say that you should accept Islam. But before that would happen, their scholars, their leaders, when they وَإِذَا خَلَا بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ, when they are in solitude with their own scholars, their scholars would tell them that, what are you doing? Don't tell them about the things that Allah has opened up onto you. What they would do is hold it against you in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِيُحَاجُّوكُمْ بِهِ عِنْدَ رَبِّكُمْ. If you tell them that your book says this too, these Muslims will, on the day of judgment, will say that you confirmed the message and you did not accept. So in ayat 76 we learned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that these people, they are planning in such a way, their heart is accepting, but their own ulama are holding them back. وَلَا يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا يُسِرُّونَ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything that they are trying to hide, everything that they revealed is very clear in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing is that from amongst the Yahud, from the Jews, there were those who were the ummi, the unlettered ones. They had no knowledge, and everything they were following was just wishful thinking, that we are those people chosen from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we make mistakes, we'll be in Jahannam for a couple of days, then we'll be out. Everything that they were thinking about is what they wanted to think, but that was not the reality. Who was telling them this? Their ulama. The ulama is Su. Remember, this was also pointed out that scholars have the responsibility not only to learn the knowledge, but to convey it in the exact way that they have learned it. And what their ulama were doing was that telling them things that they wanted to hear. They were selling their fatwas, as we say. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَقُولُونَ فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَكْتُبُونَ الْكِتَابَ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ. Destruction will be for those who wrote the book of Allah with their own hands. They were writing the ruling with their own hands. ثُمَّ يَقُولُونَ هَذَا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Then they were saying this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? لِيَشْتَرُوا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. So they can get a small price on what they're saying. So they were telling them things that they wanted to hear. So Allah said, whatever they are saying, whatever they are writing with their own hands, all of that is destruction, and what they are earning from that, all of that is destruction as well. So we also learned this point, that when the income comes in, that from an action that is haram, the income also becomes haram. So if we always want to know about a ruling, about an income, you just look at what the job is. That will be exactly what, if the job, let's say, is doubtful, it has a mixing of halal income and haram income, then what's going to happen? To do that job is also doubtful. It's better to avoid it. So it's always the same ruling as what the amal is. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned a general rule in ayat 81, that those who have committed one sin, and that sin was so severe that it engulfed them, it circled them, it surrounded them. بَلَا مَنْ كَسَبَ سَيِّئَةً وَحَاطَتْ بِهِ خَطِيئَتُهُ. That sin was so severe, it engulfed them. It did not let them come towards hidayah. So what do we learn? We find this in the misal of Abu Jahl. He had many good qualities. He was entrusted by people. He was a man of his word. He was respected. The only one thing that was holding him back from hidayah was arrogance. Was the takabbur inside him, that how can I put myself secondary and follow a religion of that goes completely against my forefathers. And same thing happened with Abu Talib. In general, this person was good. He had a lot of good deeds in his account. But the problem was, what was the thing that was holding hidayah back? The fact that people will say that he gave into his nephew's religion. That one thing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that there are many people, that we should not think that, okay, if my good deeds are more and I only have one or two sins, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive. So I have more good deeds. I do Hajj every year, so I'm good to go. We have to be very, very careful when we think like this, because that one sin can become so severe that before that person dies, it can hold him from hidayat itself. itself. It can take him away from Iman. And the quality of sin is that once a person does the disobedience of Allah, he ends up doing another. So every sin attracts another sin. So if you start out doing disliked things, what happens is a time comes in your life that you start doing things which are haram. Because you are now easily giving into disobedience and you think that it's okay. Now this is how one of the entrapments of shaitan works, that he gives a person the idea that this is only makruh, it's not haram. Then when he gets used to doing makruh acts, in many of the rulings of fiqh you will find that ulama ikram have took the step that if you do a makruh act over and over again, now you will be starting to get the sin of what is haram. You're getting to that level because you no longer think what the Sharia has declared to be disliked, you are liking that. So you're getting the habit of doing disliked actions. So this is what was mentioned as a general rule, that even one sin can destroy a person and make him from the Ashabun Nar. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in 82, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. The general ruling for those, in order to get into Jannah, Iman, effort of Iman, establish that Iman, good deeds which are followed by that Iman. Just good deeds without Iman, of course, are not accepted in the court of Allah, and then this person will make it from Ashabul Jannah hum fiha khalidun. Two ni'mas, not only will he be from Jannah, but he will live in there forever and ever. And we compare this to the ni'mas of this world. The problem is every good thing of this world is temporary. If you are happy for a few days, then it goes away. Some problem comes. You are young for a few days, then you're old. Anything that you say is good in this world, you'll find that is temporary. Even life itself, it comes to an end. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises Jannah, and not just Jannah for a temporary time. Hum fiha khalidun, forever and ever. So now we're continuing from ayat 83. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ لَا تَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. When we took a pledge from Bani Israel that you will not worship anyone but Allah. जब हमने करार लिया, ahad लिया Bani Israel से कि तुम इबादत नहीं करोगे मगर Allah की. Now again, if we remember in ayat 40, when the ruku started, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that, O Bani Israel, remember the ahad you took with me, the qarar and the contract that you made with me. Awfu bi'ahdi ufi bi'ahdikum. If you fulfill that contract, the conditions of that, I will fulfill my side of what needs to be done and give you the eternal success and the respect in this world as well. Now, those points are being highlighted as what those things were in that contract. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly reminds them about the ahad. When you give your promise into something, you have to stick to it. And the next couple of ayats also point out the same way. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ. When we took the contract from you, when we took a ahad and a pledge from you, and then how did you retaliate? Did you fulfill it or not? That's what's being talked about. So, لَا تَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. First point, ibadat. That only ibadat has to be done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. कि तुम ibadat नहीं करोगे मगर Allah की. Now remember, the message is not being given just to the Yahud, but is given to the Muslims as well, that if the same problem comes, the consequences will also be similar. The ibadat. Now we talked about in Surah Al-Fatiha in detail, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. That for only ibadat that is for Allah, that only worship Allah. This head will only bow in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also discussed a very particular masla here, that when we do musafa with one another, to put the head down while doing the musafa, this is also incorrect. And we find this happen many times. A great sheikh has just come in, and when we do the musafa, we go like this and do it sometimes. So this is, ulama ikram have said, that this head Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, that is only to be put down in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some have even gotten said to the point that this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept this honor for Himself. And when we do sajda in front of Allah, this is not just for the head, but our heart should also be doing sajda to Allah, that everything, oh Allah, I put my submission is complete only for you and nothing else. So I am in sajda, I should not be thinking about anything besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in ibadat, one more thing that we have to remember, أَن تَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. That there are levels of ibadat. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that either make ibadat in such a way that you are seeing Allah, and if it does not get to that point, then at least least make ibadah with such focus that you know in your heart and mind that Allah is watching you. And that is something we can work on at all times. In ibadah, we should always remember this, that I have not gotten to the level which is matloob, that from the beginning to the end of every ibadah, do we have that intention in our mind, in our heart, that Allah is watching me. The second point, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, to be righteous towards your parents. Apne walidain ke saath neek suluk karo. Now we know that all religions are agreed over this point, that you have to respect your elders, and it starts with your parents. One of the points that ulama ikram have pointed out here, that we know that okay, if a youngster is disrespecting his parent, we know that he's wrong. He should not do it. But we actually don't get to the root cause of this, that what led this to actually happen. What went to such a degree that caused this youngster to start disrespecting his own parents, the people that are providing for him, taking care of him, and now he is at a point where he does not want to listen to them. There are youngsters, unfortunately, they say that we can't get into a car, I can't sit with my father in one car because one of us is going to explode. Or they won't sit on the dinner together with their dad because they know that the conversation will start and it's going to lead to some. So it's happened so many times that they avoid. وَأَقْصَى أَبَاهُ, one of the signs of Qiyamah, Rasulullah said that people will start moving away from their father. And see him coming, and they try to stay away from that room, or they stay away from that area where they have to talk to their father. وَأَدْنَا صَدِيقَهُ, and they'll start to get close to their friends. So in all of our matters today, our youngsters, you see that when they say that your friends are involved in this, that helps a lot. But when they talk about the parents saying this, right away it gives them the signal that this is something that's not interesting. So how did this happen? The ulama ikram said that look at the root cause, what actually happened. One is to say, okay, the parents did not do a good job in raising that child. That's why it led to such disrespect. So if we even go to a point which is earlier than that, and that is that before the father got married to the mother, before they got married, when they were looking for their partners, they should have looked for the aspect of deen in the other individual. That when I am ready to get married, the partner that I'm looking for should have deen, whether they have other things or not. This is the first point that people mess up on, that they look for a partner that may be good in looks, in wealth, and everything else, but deen, they say, okay, they're moderate, we'll learn later, I'll teach them later, and they're okay with that. Now, that's where it starts from. Now, if they chose somebody, a spouse that is religious, what's going to happen? The first step of conception, that finally when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses to bring life through that couple, it's going to happen through the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then secondly, when that child is in the womb of that religious woman, she is going to be doing the a'mal of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the azwaj mutahharat radiyallahu anhu. So all of them will affect the child. Remember, when the child is developing inside the womb of the mother, it is not just the food. The doctors tell them, don't eat this, this will happen. Eat this is good for the child. But we don't think that the spirituality, that is also being affected to that child, because if the mother is sitting around and just watching movies while the child is for 9 months, of course when that child comes out, it's going to have that effect, because we believe that every amal, whether it's khair and good, it has an effect. So if it's a good amal, it's going to be transferred into that child. So now from that point, the tarbiyat is taking place, and it keeps on going and going to the point that finally, if they do things right, then this child he will have in his nature, in his blood, he would have the obedience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put, because of the right steps that were taken by the parents. So when we say that our child is like this and it's too late to fix it, we should think that okay, there are mistakes that we have made ourselves, and we have to try our best to bring that back, and by changing the environment of our children. And if we are in charge of choosing this for our children, the right partners, always keep the aspect of deen as a superior and the primary aspect. Everything else can be compromised, but if deen is there, inshallah, then it will have good results. Now, moving forward, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the next point, وَذِي الْقُرْبَى, the relatives. और कुंबे वालों के साथ, अपने रिश्तेदारों के साथ नेक सुलूक करो. This was the second point mentioned after the parents. Now, all of these points are actually a topic of bayan itself. We know that there is sila rahmi, that there is the ties of kinship that Rasulullah has always emphasized on. It said that sila sila itself, it is something that is hanging from the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it says, Man qata'ani qata'ahu Allah, wa man wasalani wasahu Allah. That one who keeps me intact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep the connection intact with that individual. That means, if you keep your connection with your relatives, then what's going to happen as a result? Your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be intact. And one who breaks apart, one who cuts the ties of kinship, that same thing will happen between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as a longer run, we should look at it that I am doing all of this for Allah. There are people we don't like. Naturally in our family, it's hard to sit with them, hard to talk to them, the topics they bring up, the question that they ask, the comments that make it, many portions, it gets to a point it's hard to tolerate. But we have to keep in front of us that my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is dependent on this. If I mess up with my relatives, it's again going to a point where I'm going to mess up with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the sake of Allah, dhil qurba, the second point which is mentioned here, that our relatives should be looked after. Wal yatama, the orphans. This is a point that no one talks about much. If you ask somebody in our community, where are those orphans? How many orphans are there? Nobody would know. But we know since the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this has always been, we find numerous ahadith where there are just virtues mentioned about taking care of the orphans, and this thing is pointed out in here, that you have to take after the relatives, the orphans. Wal masakin, miskin. Now there's a difference between a miskin and a faqir. Sometimes in Urdu we translate them both as needy people and as the same thing. A faqir is a person who has money, but he does not have it to the extent where zakat becomes wajib on him. He has money, but when the year comes, it doesn't last to such an extent where he has to pay 2.5% on it. A miskin is a person who has to work for his day-to-day expenses, that he's not sure if tomorrow he'll have enough to eat. So miskin is the lower level of a faqir. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning about those people, jo muhtaj hain, those who are in need, we have to look after them. Now it's not just mentioning about giving them money, but it says ihsana, be nice towards them. Sometimes when we give to the needy, we feel that we have done something for them and now they have to be nice to us, they have to react. No, we are doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and because this is a command of Allah. I have to do it in such an attitude that he feels that he is being respected by me, and this is something that you are fulfilling as an action and command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, and say good to the people. An-nas is mentioned as general, not just Muslim to non-Muslim as well. When you choose the words, choose the right words. Now, it's opposite today. When we're at work, when we're working around non-Muslims, we're nicer to them, but with our own Muslims we have a problem. Even in the masjid, you see people that when you say salam to them, they would say it in a very harsh way. They would say, wa alaikum salam. So, they would say it in a way that without a smile, as there's a harshness in it. And it's very unfortunate to talk about these things, that how is it that within the Muslim ummah we find these kind of reactions. So when inside the masjid or any place around the Muslims and non-Muslims, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, choose the best type of word. That means you have the ability, Allah has given you the ability of speech. Now you can choose which way to talk and which attitude to talk in, which words to choose. One of the shaykh, he was saying that a person came into Fajr Salah, and after a very long time, after Fajr he went to the Imam and he said that, I'm never going to come back to this masjid again. So Imam Sahib was saying, okay, what's wrong? You came to pray. And he said, when I was entering the masjid, somebody right by the door, who was considered to be a pious person, and he said, kya hua aaj rasta to nahi bhatak gaya? How am I seeing you today here? Did you lose your way here? So now he said, the tone is soft, but the choice of words, look what he did. Now because of that, he said, now I feel so bad, that I'm worse than all these people here. I'd rather go somewhere else or pray at home. Why should I come here when people are treating me this way? So you see how far an effect it takes. Just that one word or one sentence that person said, now this person is giving up coming to the masjid. Now what's going to happen? The burden of, we already have so many sins, that's a burden itself. Then when other people are being stopped from coming onto Hidayah because of, now that burden is also on us, that we did something that others are not coming. And this happens, numerous examples are there. Then this happens a lot. We choose the right words, and it is never right to use the harsh way. It is never right. We say that, okay, maybe Rasulullah ﷺ was angry. When Rasulullah ﷺ would be angry and upset, it would be shown on his face. Some ulama ikram of Seerah, they have written that there was a vein in between the eyebrows of Rasulullah ﷺ would kind of pop up, and it would show that right now the Prophet ﷺ is upset. But But you will not find narration where Rasulullah is yelling at someone, why did you not do this? Who do you think you are? These kind of things you find today in the Muslim Ummah, but you will not find it in the life of Rasulullah and you hardly find it in the Sahaba Ikram as well. So we have to say, okay, if I'm a Muslim, I have to be very, very humble. That whatever I have, Allah can take it away. If I am praying salah, others are not, I'm not better than them. It's possible Allah is going to give him hidayah and take hidayah away from me. So all the things are coming from Allah and they can be taken at any split second. So as long as I am thankful, that's going to stay. And when I become arrogant over it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take that away. And sometimes we see those who feel that they're very pious, they think that okay, being pious is something that you look depressed itself. That you will come in looking down, not talking to others. And we look at the sunnah, Rasulullah would smile while giving salam, even in the jawab, wa alaykum salam. And you see the tone is completely different. The person felt welcome. But today what happens? That people, if they are known to be pious, it's so hard to interact with them. They would not look up, they would not look here and there, and they feel that this is an action that has to be done as well, that cut yourself out from society and feel that you are special in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will find, and if a person comes into the masjid and he's smiling, everyone would look at him that there's something wrong with him or something, right? And those who are humble and quiet, they say, ye neek hai, baki jo muskura rahe hain, kuch gadbad hai, right? So we have to be very careful that sunnah and sadaqah, to smile, to be nice to one another, open up to one another, to be accessible. You see, Rasulullah's life was such that every person that met him would think that Rasulullah loved him the most. Every person, whether he's a slave, he's rich, that was a different factor. But everyone that met Rasulullah, they would think that he loves me the most. That was the kind of reaction that we find in the seerah. So, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, and say good for all people, Muslims, non-Muslims, all of that is covered. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has paired salat with zakah in more than 82 places in the Quran. One of the hikmahs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we find in this is that salat, it purifies the physical, it purifies the jaan, the body itself, and the zakat purifies the wealth. Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minin anfusahum wa amwalahum. These are two things that you see are paired up in our life. That's our life itself, and then there is the wealth, the things we own. So all the things that we own, through the zakat, Allah purifies them. And the life itself, when we are praying our salah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away those evil effects that are coming in from the dunyawi aspect. That from Fajr to Asr, this person, he prayed Fajr, and then he prayed Zohr, then the Asr, whatever is going on in between, the minor sins, all of that is being taken care of. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for purification reasons, paired both of them together, that if you want your life to be purified, you want your possessions to be purified, establish salah and perform the zakah. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ. Then you turned away. And this happened in many times where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the ahad, their contract, then what happened? They turn away. They turn away. And that again, ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْكُمْ. Then you turned away except for a few. پھر تم پھر گئے دوبارہ اپنی بات سے مکر گئے. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْكُمْ سوائے کچھ. وَأَنْتُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ. And you are in the habit of turning away. تمہاری خصلت میں یہ بات آ گئی ہے کہ جب ہی تم کوئی عہد لیتے ہو تو اس سے پھر جاتے ہو. So this was happening over and over again. This is not just one time. A person might think that they made a ahad with Allah, okay, they made a mistake, Allah should forgive them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is declaring that these people were constantly doing it, that it became a habit of theirs, that they would say something and not do it, say something and not do it. And it was going on again and again, that just the aspect of ibadat, you see, only for Allah, and then you find them worshipping the calf. And moving forward, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ لَا تَسْفِكُونَ دِمَاءَكُمْ وَلَا تُخْرِجُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds them, when we took a pledge from you, لَا تَسْفِكُونَ دِمَاءَكُمْ, you will not shed your blood. جب ہم نے تم سے وعدہ لیا, عہد لیا کہ تم اپنے خون کو نہیں بہاؤگے. Now this is such a beautiful way of saying دِمَاءُكُمْ, that you will not shed your own blood. Now why would somebody shed their own blood? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that when you you kill your own people, it is as if you are shedding your own blood. When Muslims go against Muslims, they are actually causing harm to themselves. If a Muslim kills another Muslim, it is as if he is killing himself. If he hurts him, he's hurting himself. If he kicks it, the next point is, وَلَا تُخْرِجُونَ أَنفُسَكُم مِّن دِيَارِكُمْ. Don't expel yourself or exile yourselves from your homes. Why would a person do it to himself? It is actually he's doing it to other people from his own religion. Because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you are actually hurting your own self. وَلَا تُخْرِجُونَ أَنفُسَكُم مِّن دِيَارِكُمْ. Do not exile yourself, expel yourself from your own homes. Apne gharon se, apne watan se, apne aap ko khud na nikalo. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about, again, Bani Israel, they have done it to their own people as well. They killed their own people and they also expelled their own people from land. ثُمَّ أَقْرَرْتُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَشْهَدُونَ. And then you admitted to this, agreed to this as a witness yourself. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is declaring here is saying that you did it while you knew what you were doing. जान बुझ के किया और अपने आप को गवाह बनाते हुए किया कि तुम्हें पूरी तरह से समझ थी कि जो तुम कर रहे हो. Now there's one incident to keep in mind here to understand these verses, that what actually happened, that Jews went against themselves, and when did they kick out other Jews and they battled with others of themselves. In Madinatul Munawwara before Islam, there were two types of tribes. There was one, the Aus, the other was Khazraj. Aus and Khazraj. Okay, these are people, they were non-Muslims. This is before Islam, so they were non-Muslim. The other people that were in Madinatul Munawwara were the Jewish people. And so the Jewish two tribes were Banu Qurayza and Banu Nadir. Banu Qurayza, Banu Nadir. Banu Qurayza was friends with Aus. Banu Nadir was friends with Khazraj. Aus and Khazraj, they were enemies. They were constant after every few days there was a battle. There was something wrong with them. They were always fighting with one another. So the Jewish tribes, Banu Qurayza and Banu Nadir, they had friends with these tribes. So Banu Qurayza would always side with Aus. Banu Nadir was also always siding with Khazraj. And whenever Aus and Khazraj had a battle, on the other hand, these Jews would be helping them, but what happened was they were attacking one another. Banu Nadir was helping Khazraj and they were attacking Aus and Banu Qurayza. Banu Qurayza was helping Aus and they were attacking. So because of them helping their friends, they ended up attacking themselves. This is something to understand. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying what happened, why did they shed their own blood? Because of them having friends with other tribes, they ended up fighting with themselves. So Banu Nadir had friendship with Khazraj, Banu Qurayza had friendship with Aus. And whenever Aus and Khazraj had a battle, these two Jewish tribes would help them, but they would end up fighting with one another because they were on one another's side. So when battle took place, blood was shed. One Yahud would be going against another Yahud because he's helping his friend out. So blood was being shed. The other thing was they were expelled. The ones who would lose and those who would go through a loss during the battle, they would be told to leave that place. So Jewish people were taking out Jewish people themselves because of being friends with the others. Now this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains it, that it was commanded to you that don't shed the blood of one another. They're your own people. The other Jews are also your people. Don't go against them. But because of their friendship with Aus and Khazraj, they were ending up fighting with one another. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you forgot this point and you went on shedding the blood of one another. And second thing is that when prisoners came, whenever battle happens, there's prisoners taken. So Aus would take prisoners from Khazraj if they win the battle, and they would also take prisoners from Banu Nadir because Banu Nadir was helping the Khazraj. And same thing would happen vice versa, that if the Khazraj tribe would win and they had Banu Nadir on their side, they would take prisoners from Banu Qurayza because they had defeated them. So the Jews held on to one thing of their religion, that if we find prisoners and they're Jewish, we have to free them. This is one point that they followed all the time, that if we find prisoners and they're Jews, we should either pay off their ransom and free them, or tell our friends, the other tribe, whether it's Aus or Khazraj, they will tell them that free them please, because this is a command from Allah. We should not take any prisoners that are Jews. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in this ayat is saying that you did remember the command of freeing one another and not holding prisoners of your own people, but you forgot the command of killing your own people. You did shed the blood of your own people. You expelled your own people from land, but you held on to one command of Allah, and which is that don't take them as prisoners. So you are doing some and you're leaving some. You're doing some of the religion and and you are leaving some. Now look at the translation, inshallah we understand. ثُمَّ أَنْتُمْ هَؤُلَاءِ تَقْتُلُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ. After making the ahad that you are not going to shed your own blood, you will not take your own people out from land. ثُمَّ أَنْتُمْ هَؤُلَاءِ. Then yet you are here as those people killing your own people. تَقْتُلُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَتُخْرِجُونَ فَرِيقًا مِنْكُمْ مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ. And then you have taken a portion of your own people out of their land. تَظَاهَرُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِالْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. You are invading them with the intent of sin and animosity. وَإِنْ يَأْتُوكُمْ أُسَارَى تُفَادُوهُمْ. If they come to you as prisoners, you free them. وَهُوَ مُحَرَّمٌ عَلَيْكُمْ إِخْرَاجُهُمْ. When in reality it was wrong for you to fight them in the first place. You were thinking about the prisoners, but you fought them and you shed the blood. That was equally haram as well. وَهُوَ مُحَرَّمٌ عَلَيْكُمْ إِخْرَاجُهُمْ. To fight them, to take them out, it was unlawful as well. أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Are you believing in some of the ahkams of Allah, in some of the religion, and you are denying in some of the religion? So here we can look, as Muslims, okay, we have to learn a very, very special lesson here, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to completely come under the fold of Islam. It's not acceptable that we do some things and we leave some things. This is what actually happened here, that they were not ready to take prisoners as Jewish people, but they were ready to fight them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that fighting them is also haram, taking them prisoners is also haram, they're your own people. So it's like saying that Muslims today, if you talk to them about interest-based transactions, if you talk to them about riba, if you talk to them, they don't give heed that much and they find out other ways around. If you put pork in front of them, and you say, eat it, and he will say, oh no, this is haram, I can't eat this. So he knows that one thing, oh that's clear, it's haram. On the other hand, if you ask them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared war against that person who is consuming riba, he's not going to take that and he'll find other ways. So if you do a portion and you leave portion, this is the warning that is being given here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, are you bringing iman on some of our commands and are you denying some of the commands? Now the Jews here, they were not denying the other commands, they were just not practicing on them. This is what it is with us, that we do believe that the Quran and everything of Rasulullah's teaching is completely haqq, but we practice on some and some we leave out. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala justifies that in different wording. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you are not believing in it and you are denying it. So that means to not practice some ayats of the Quran means to deny it. That's how dangerous it is. कि Allah की कुछ आमाल और कुछ आयात के ऊपर यकीन करना और कुछ को मुकम्मल तौर पर रद्द कर देना. तो हम सारे आमाल पर और सारे आयात पर यकीन तो करते हैं, लेकिन मसला यह आता है कि अमली तौर पर वो पूरा वहां पर नहीं है. तो यहाँ पर अल्लाह पाक ने इस तरह से समझाया कि अगर तुम अमल नहीं कर रहे, गोया तुम उसको रद्द कर दे रहे हो, उसका इनकार कर रहे हो. अफतुमिनून बिबादिल किताब. Are you bringing iman on some of the ahkam, and what are you doing with the rest? وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضٍ. And the rest you are denying it. فَمَا جَزَاءُ مَنْ يَفْعَلُ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا خِزْيٌ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. There is no other recompense for those who have done this amongst you besides humiliation in this world. उसकी जजा यही हो सकती है, जिसने दीन को कुछ अमल किया और कुछ छोड़ दिया, यही हो सकती है सजा के उसके लिए रुसवाई होगी इस दुनिया में. And this will be complete disgrace for that person. Now when a person he shows himself as a Muslim and he is following Islam, but he does it as only as a portion of it, the rest he leaves out. Now he does not just cause harm to himself, he causes harm to Islam itself, the religion. Because now when we say we are Muslims, but in our practical life some is there and some is not there, so to the person who is not Muslim, he is going to say that this is how Muslims are and this is what Islam teaches. And when we have to be very careful, because we are representing Islam. So we are not just causing harm to ourselves, we're causing harm to Islam itself. And then when a person constantly does this, khizyun fid dunya, then that religion that is supposed to be honored, now that same people are being disgraced and humiliated wherever they go. Why is that? Because they are following some and they are leaving some. Then when people see Muslims, they are not looking at them with honor and respect. Instead they are ready to disrespect disrespect and discriminate and whatever we see is going on, it's because our own faults. We have gotten to a point where some things we are justifying, which fulfills our needs, and on the other hand, we follow the Quran and Sunnah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dukhulu fis silmi kaffa. The command is, if you are going to be a Muslim, that enter into it as a whole, that complete into the fold of Islam. Your business matters have to declare that you are Muslim. Your family matters have to declare that they are Muslim. And all of those things have to point out that this is how a person who follows Islam is supposed to be. وَمَاللَّهُ, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يُرَدُّونَ إِلَىٰ أَشَدِّ الْعَذَابِ. In this dunya, humiliation. In the akhirah, these people will be turned towards severe, the most severe punishment. Ashad is ism tafzil. That is not just severe. Ashad, that the most severe punishment that there is, that will be given to such individuals who make mockery of the deen. That they say we'll follow some and we'll leave some. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, in this world there will be disgrace. In the akhirah there will be extreme azab, which is to the highest extent. وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah is not unaware of what you are doing. أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ اشْتَرَوُا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا بِالْآخِرَةِ. These are those people who bought the dunya in exchange of their akhirah. And this is what actually happened, that people who want to get ahead in this life and is depending on compromising the command of Allah, these are those people that they are selling their akhirah in exchange for this dunya. Ye wo log hain jinhone dunya kharidi akhirat ke badle mein, that they're ready to go all the honor of the akhirah. We're ready to be disgraced in the akhirah, just give us izzat of this world. These are those type of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that inhone kya kiya, inhone dunya ki zindagi kharid li akhirat ke badle. Fala yukhaffafu anhumul adhab wala hum yunsarun. Then their azab will not be lightened. That a person might think, okay, if I'm in azab for a while, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will feel sorry for me and bring things down. The Quran is saying that if it's on the highest extent, it will stay on the highest extent. وَلَا هُمْ يُنْصَرُونَ. There will be no help for them. People, they will be calling out to angels, they will be calling out to whatever they see that to send help. In no intercession. وَلَا هُمْ يُنْصَرُونَ means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not allow anybody to intercede for them in the court of Allah. Or فَلَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمُ الْعَذَابِ, और उनका अजाब हल्का नहीं किया जाएगा. وَلَا هُمْ يُنْصَرُونَ, और ना उनकी कोई मदद की जाएगी, कि उनकी तरफ से कोई शिफाअत करने वाला नहीं होगा. Ya Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. Jazakumullahu khair wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.